Look, you can't argue with
Yep.
the numbers, right? If people want something, they're prepared to commit a crime to do it. That says something.
Right. So if you're the big media companies, you have to walk a very fine line here. You have to protect your existing business, which, by the way, is extraordinarily profitable. Everybody in the media ecosystem is making lots of money. The cable companies, the media companies that create the content, everybody's making money because consumers are still paying a lot of money for this big bundle every single month of content. However, things are changing. So if you're this big media companies, you have to recognize that your consumers are consuming more and more video online. You have to have your content there anytime, anywhere, on any device, but you have to do it in such a way that you get paid. That's where we are today. We're in the very early innings of big media companies figure out, how do I migrate my content to these new platforms, new digital platforms, and still preserve my economics? And it's very unclear whether they will be able to preserve those economics. And in 2014, we saw a lot of big media companies actually underperform the market after 4.5 years of tremendous outperformance, as this issue really started to come to the front of investors' minds.
Although still getting very fat paychecks, though, as well, these traditional broadcasting CEOs. Okay, so is this the year that there is some sort of sea change, or are we talking about a very gradual recognition?
I think it's going to be a gradual process here. We saw just at the end of 2014, companies like HBO and CBS make very bold leaps to create these online video platforms for their programs, HBO Go, CBS On Demand, trying to compete against or make their content available in a similar way that it is on Netflix, because we see the tremendous growth in Netflix, their subscriber growth, their revenue growth, and the media companies say, you know, this is something that we have to embrace. However, the risk is that you cannibalize the consumers that are still spending $100 or $200 a month with their big pay TV packages. Why should I pay that when I can get it for $5.99 a month for just CBS? So, again, it's a very fine line that these companies are walking. Not every company is doing it. CBS and HBO are some of the more aggressive ones, but we'll see how the others play out.
Is there any comparison that we can draw to something that happened in the past that kind of looks like what we're about to go through?
Yes.
And so what would it be?
Music and Steve Jobs. And so what happened in a very in a nutshell,
the music
for the
industry is still reeling.
That's right. And the music industry really lost control of their content. They gave up a lot of the control, the economic control of their content.
If that's the case, then why shouldn't over-the-top be a rallying cry?
Well, it is. And so a lot of the media companies are saying they're doing a couple of things. They're making their content available to these over-the-top players like Netflix, and they are making billions of dollars of syndication revenue fees from the Netflix of the world, so they are getting paid. However, they're also saying, why is there even a need for Netflix in the first place? Why can't I take my content directly to the consumers? And HBO is the best example of that. Right, and HBO is finally saying the online video world is big enough that the revenue potential is big enough that I can assume the risk for my traditional model. I'm going to go dip my toe in this HBO.
I got to say, I mean, this is the year. I know, Eric, a couple of days ago, I had to admit that I was kind of late to this whole Netflix. And Eric very aptly pointed out I was very late to the party. But I'm almost at the point now, Paul, where I'm almost ready to cut the cord. You know, right. I'm just not, you know, I grew up in another generation, but I'm almost ready to get there. And I assume that if I'm at that point, there are a lot of other people are as well.
But the reason that you're going to be, the reason you're most likely to not cut the cord is not because of the video packages and the TV you get, but because of the high-speed internet access that you get from your cable company. And at the end of the day, you're like, well, let me just keep all that because I really want to have that fast broadband pipe so that I can watch the Netflix of the world. Now, the question is, does that bundle of broadband and video and telephone that Comcast and the other cable companies rely upon, is that going to fray? Is that going to break apart? Or maybe you just say, you know what, I don't need the video package from Comcast. I don't need the voice package. All I need is the high-speed video because I'm going to watch everything over the internet. And that's probably the biggest bear case for the pay TV operators, that this bundle, which has been so profitable for them over the past 30 or 40 years, starts to fray.